Live. Está llenándose la barrita.
Dice live on YouTube.
Todavía no me sale acá. Ok, listo. Sebastián, you can do your thing.
Super, I think we are live. Welcome everyone. I think there's probably more people joining us in a few minutes. But I just want to say I'm super thrilled to be here to share with all of you and the ones that are going to be joining soon our results of year 4 Parallel 18 Impact Report, which normally we do this event physically, but of course, because of the circumstances, we're doing virtually now, which is going to be even more exciting. So the purpose of this panel is to share these great results that we have had in the last year, specifically in generation 7 and 8, a total of 44 companies, but also give you a glimpse of what happened since the very beginning. Even more now that we are just accomplishing 5 years since the program started just a few weeks ago. So congratulations for us, Parallel 18. So in despite of this current climate of a pandemic, our startups have been working very hard, and you can see this in the results that we're going to show you soon. So to talk about all of this, we have asked 5 panelists to join us today so they can share the results from their own words, because it's the efforts of exactly these people that was behind the scenes working hard to show these amazing results. So today they are going to be joining us, and I'm going to be introducing the panelists first. Lucy Crespo, my boss, the CEO of the Puerto Rico Science, Technology and Research Trust. Hola Lucy, bienvenida. Second, Eduardo Padial, Operations Director at Parallel 18. Hola Eduardo. Cristina Tamayo, Business Development Manager of Parallel 18. Hola Chris, bienvenida. Lucas Arzola, PhD Ventures Investment Lead. Lucas, ¿qué tal? And last but not least, Marisol Villalobos, founder of Amazar, the only startup representing. So congratulations and welcome, Marisol. So just to before we kick off the panel discussion, I just want to share with you a few words of what has happened in the last few months or even a year. So as many as you know, in the past 5 years, I served as a Parallel 18 Executive Director. Parallel 18, I would say, is one of the, my proudest professional achievements so far. I'm super thrilled with everything that we have accomplished in so little time. But now I transitioned to a different role. I'm in our parent organization, the Puerto Rico Science Trust. I'm leading the innovation strategy of the organization. I continue to oversee Parallel 18. I really don't want to take out the look of the program, but also I'm fostering innovation in all the other trust programs. For the ones that you don't know, there's more than 16 other different programs under the umbrella of the trust. So it's a pretty big and exciting organization. So also very, very happy and excited that since July 2020, Eduardo Padial, which is going to be joining us in the panel, is now leading the program as the operations director. Eduardo is taking it to the next level, implementing new ways of track and measure our startup development, attracting more mentors, and overall helping our startups grow. On the other hand, in October this year, Lucas moved inside our organization to lead and have a central role in the investment area, something that we have been working very hard during the last 3 to 4 years, and Lucas has taken that leading role and effort in these 5 years. And there's super exciting numbers around that Lucas will share with us very soon. So let's start this conversation so you don't have to wait anymore. And welcome to the ones that are joining just up now. We're going to start this panel of Parallel 18 Year 4 asking and starting with Lucy Crespo. So talking about innovation, we were talking about how this program is going to be evolving in the future. Lucy, how do you see, and welcome, of course, how do you see Puerto Rico's transition, promoting an economy based on innovation today, and how do you see Parallel 18 as a part of that role?
Well, first of all, Sebastián, thank you for the invitation, and thank you to all the audience for joining us in this very special event. It's the first time we have the Impact Resort in a virtual fashion, so I hope that you can get all the excitement and all the passion that we have for the results that we are achieving for this program. I really would like to start positioning a little bit of what the Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust is, and how Parallel 18 feed on the overall strategic plan for the trust. The trust is a non-for-profit organization, okay, and our mission really is to facilitate, to invest, and to build the capacity that we need in order to accelerate Puerto Rico economy and the well-being of the citizens, ¿verdad? And we do that by the creation of innovation-based companies, companies based on science and technology, and working with our industrial base, ¿verdad? And we have a very ambitious vision for Puerto Rico, and that is that we become a globally recognized hub, innovation hub, that is able to develop, attract and retain scientists, technology entrepreneur, and world-class companies. So in that sense, Parallel 18 is one of the key programs that we have in order to achieve the final objective of our strategic plan, that is increase the innovation capacity of Puerto Rico. And it is amazing that we already have almost 5 years. I remember our conversation, Sebastián, when Sebastián was still in Chile. And at that point in time, there were several objectives that we were pursuing with this program, and you will see how that had progressed. But the first one was really to start creating companies in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico economy is really centralized in large manufacturing organization, which is really good and have been good for the past. But one of the things that we need is really to create a significant number of companies with global reach. And that is the first mission that Parallel, through the accelerator as well as the pre-18, is achieving, and you will see the results in that particular area. The other one, which is also very important, and I'm very glad that we have Marisol here, which is one of our shining stars in the ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem of Puerto Rico. And one of the things that we really want to do is to be sure that our companies have a global reach, that they are not only focusing on our market, but focus in the world. We have a phrase here, from Puerto Rico to the world. So we will see that with Marisol experience and some others. So that was the second objective that we have. The third one, and I believe is going to be very impressive when Lucas talk about the investment ecosystem in Puerto Rico and how that ecosystem and investment and the amount of investment and the flow of companies that we have here really have been transformed in the last 5 years. That is an amazing story that I will let Lucas talk about. And for me, one of the most important aspects is how do we transform the mindset of the younger generations of Puerto Ricans? As I mentioned, we really want our young generation to understand that entrepreneurship, that founding their own companies, that starting a company, and it doesn't matter if they fail, they will learn from that, but be sure that they are ready for the next startup, how important that is. And that is one of the key roles that Parallel 18 have taken, becoming an inspiration for that area. For me personally, one of the objectives that we have when I started working at the Trust as CEO a little over 5 years, almost 6 years ago, was also that I want to take the opportunity for our companies to leverage some of the benefits and access to capital that we have with the Small Business Innovation Grant and a Technology Transfer Grant. And Parallel 18 and the companies from Parallel 18 are fine example how they have taken advantage of that. We are extremely proud of companies such as Cold Clean, as Agrovit, and in particular, the 3G, which were recently selected for the Hall of Fame of Small Business Startups. So we are really, I'm really proud of how Parallel and the companies that have participated in the program are helping us to communicate the importance of doing those particular grants. Okay, so as you can see, they have been an innovation driven organization. It's an inspiration for all of us, the results that they will be able to share with us today. Okay, and I hope that through the panel, we can have a more interaction and talk about the different experience and how we perceive paralleling is going to move into the future.
Thank you, Lucy. And I think it's so critical. And I clearly remember our conversation in May or April 2015. Describing and understanding and designing what's going to be the next 5 years, and now we are here 5 years later. So that's great, and I can take out of your words the entrepreneurial mindset that we want to achieve in Puerto Rico, and also that global approach that we also want to put into our entrepreneurs. And I think Marisol is a very vivid example of that.
Sarah, I just have one more thing to mention, because I'm sure Cristina will talk about, and that is that one of the other contributions that Parallel 18 is making into the innovation ecosystem is that synergy between the large companies and the startups, okay? And I believe that is a tremendous value, because given the size of the economy and the type of activities that we are doing here, in particular in some sectors, that is so critical, and that had to be an area that we will continue to focus, because that synergy area between the large companies and the small companies, the startup, is critical for us to continue developing and diversify our economic development strategies.
Absolutely agree, Lucy. More like understanding how powerful the private sector in Puerto Rico is. And also 50 out of the Fortune 500 companies have some presence in Puerto Rico, and the manufacturing space is probably more than 40% of our GDP. So that relation has to happen, right? So thank you very much, Lucy. Eduardo, I wanted to, Lucy just described the goals and the strategy and where are we going. All of this is happening under very, very uncertain circumstances and a very challenging context that we're experiencing now. I would like for you to share what Parallel 18 is doing with all of this pandemic happening, and all of the effects and impact that has happened. Tell us a little bit how the team managed it, and how did you innovate to maintain the dynamic, right? The dynamic that is so valuable for entrepreneurs that we work for of the program, and how were the results at the end of the day? Show us the results, Eduardo.
So first of all, thank you everyone for joining us and for learning more about Parallel 18 and what we've done here in our 4th year of our impact report. Very excited for the results that we are to bring up today. Look, the pandemic, when we started looking in March, literally was like three cases confirmed, and we decided to go virtual. We wanted to be science-based and start looking at how can we transform our program in a virtual sense. And in that matter, we confirmed that we were able to do it via the practices of our Gen 7 demo day, going completely virtual, having to have our Gen 8, our P18 program accelerator, completely virtual as well, and now continuing with our Pre-18 Gen 3. And when we look at our accelerator, and what we do is that we're experts of engagements, and that we have to create very good conversations at different stages of the startup. And we've able to manage that from our beautiful co-working space, and now bit by bit, and I'm very confident more than ever of what we have now, that we're able to make a lot of synergies, a lot of things that used to work in a physical space and occur now in a virtual setting. And I'm very proud of our team, the things that we've done in order for this to occur. Extremely proud of what we've done. And we've seen it now based on the conversations that we've had with our current entrepreneurs and our past participants in a virtual setting. And it shows also in the results. The success of our startups is just an example of how hard the team is working every day. And although the pandemic is still here, we're very happy of what we're about to show to you. This year, our team created processes, new programs, a new fund, and other initiatives to support our alumni and our participants more than ever. All these changes also helped us in the transition to go through a virtual format and also helped establish the program's future foundations. Now we have more tools than ever to help our startups. So I'm very thankful to everyone who has been part of the Para18 team today and the past 5 years. And these results show that the efforts demonstrate the growth of our startups per se. And we're gonna go through a few of the results. For example, in Gen 8, essentially it's a totally Puerto Rican startups. Due to the pandemic, because of the borders, international borders were closed, we wanted to make this focused into Puerto Rican startups that have traction, have the ability to scale. And we attended 13 startups. And it was basically, we did a lot of things that allowed, because being virtual, we're able to gather mentors from all over the world to participate in events that are usually in person. For example, Sales Pitch Mania. Our startups had to do 13 sales pitches in a row to get feedback as quickly as possible from mentors from all of the Americas. We had our first virtual demo day in Gen 7 through the platform called Scenic, a alumni of Para18. And later, we did 2 demo days in Gen 8, one for our Puerto Rico Science, Technology, and Research Trust directors, and the other one for the entire community, where we even had Gino Villarini as a special AMA, who is the president of Aeronet. We also continue to do things that we usually do here at Para18 in a present state that we wanted to do here in a virtual one. For example, we have a beautiful kitchen here in our offices where we have kitchen table talks. So how can we have those kitchen table talks in a virtual manner? And we also established, knowing that our mentors are also burning their own fires, attending their own fires because of the pandemic, how we can create better on-time connections, more strategic connections along the way. And also I want to highlight the great resource that Google for Startups provided, not only to our curriculum, but also to learn about our other Google for Startups partners. So we're not alone through this process. And furthermore, I want to also highlight what we've done in regards to our alumni program, because we knew from March that the impact was going to be also an economic impact. So we attended all of our attention through a business continuity fund that Lucas will be mentioning more furthermore. But how can we provide a better, more conversations, more mature conversations based on the needs of our alumni? Because we're not here not just for attending the current participants, but from those startups that are here since day one. And for that, we did something, essentially it's making more formal our alumni program. And one of the key things that we did, first, an alumni week. We usually do in our program something called a traditional KPI meeting, or corillo, where we have, based on things that the startups have in common, create conversations right there, 45 minutes between 4 to 5 startups. We did this 15 times with 45 startups. And it was amazing to be able to have more empathy, better understanding of where they are, so we can align our resources to their needs. And we also had 2 amazing mentors. We had Ravi Mehta, the former Chief Product Officer at Tinder. And we also had Alfredo Garcia, the Chief of Staff at G Suite. Ravi talking about how to evolve your product along the way. And Alfredo just giving us insights and understanding of how to manage this pandemic. And lastly, the talent program, where we've able to see on how the growth of this program has done. And we saw that there was over 4,900 total hours of entrepreneurial experience for our Puerto Rican interns from Gen 7 and Gen 8. So that is amazing to demonstrate that we're here to not just provide opportunities, but for our, as Lucy mentioned, that our younger talent understand the entrepreneurial process. And I'm so glad that we have more interns to experience this process.
Thank you, Eduardo, and I really like your hoodie. It's very nice. And I take about what you said in terms of taking our well-known or valued physical experience to the virtual world. Mm-hmm. I think that is probably the most challenging part, and keep the quality of that value up high. Mm-hmm. It has a lot to say about you and your team. So congratulations for that. And I'm sure some of those things will stick. And I think that's the interesting part of the years that come, is how do we make that more efficient and actually cost efficient. And also supporting a group of alumni, right? That is increasing every single year. That's exactly what we want, right? So now we have a mass of 200 companies, more than 300 founders. Mm-hmm. So that group is doing everything, is receiving investment, is investing, is being acquired. So super interesting. So without further ado, right? It's like, let's go to the numbers, Eduardo. And by the way, to the audience, the impact report is going to be, it is published in parallel18.com website. So you can check it out, all the details there. Eduardo is going to share with you briefly about the impact report, but you can check them all out in our website.
So I'm very excited. I'm very excited for what's been happening in the last 5 years. We've received, until Gen 8, our most recent P18 accelerator, we've received over 4,300 applications from all over the world. And that is amazing. It demonstrates that the value of the program, but also the value of the Puerto Rican ecosystem, that they can work from Puerto Rico and scale globally. Something that we're very proud of is that we have surpassed over 200 total graduated companies from different types of industries, different types of solutions, and we're here for them every step of the way. The percentage of Puerto Rican companies is just above 1/3, and we've been helping to increase that percentage thanks to our pre-accelerator Pre-18, where we focus on helping local startups from Puerto Rico to continue to grow and have a better opportunity to be set for our Pre-18 program. And we also have a survival rate of 85%, a number that we're very proud of, and that we want to continue to maintain throughout this process. And what we've done with the Business Continuity Program, a fund to help on that metric. Something that we are absolutely thrilled is a metric that a lot of accelerators start having, and now we're part of being able to measure it, which is the amount of exits and acquisitions, which is right now at 4. And when we move into the Pre-18 accelerator, which started right after Hurricane Maria in 2017, and we saw so much value to our Puerto Rican ecosystem that now we're currently in our 3rd generation, where we've received over 900 applications. 71 have graduated up to Gen 2, and 33 companies have gone into, from those 71, 33 have gone into our P18 program. And the program right now, our Pre-18 Gen 3, demonstrates how matured and continues to grow our entrepreneurial ecosystem in Puerto Rico, that we surpassed our capacity. Usually it's 40. We didn't want to lose the opportunity of the amazing talents. We're right now at 42 startups in our current cohort. When we look at the results of Gen 7 and Gen 8, our 2 cohorts of our P18 accelerator, we distributed over 1.3 million in grants. The portfolio valuation is estimated at 102 million. The retention, and when we mention retention, is those startups that are from outside of Puerto Rico. Just up to 2/3 of them have some type of operation in the island. So it demonstrates the efficiencies and the power of our program, of those companies that come from outside of Puerto Rico. They arrive here, and 2/3 see the value and have operations, clients, talent, investment. And lastly,
Eduardo, just want to clarify to the audience, this is just Gen 7 and Gen 8.
Gen 8.
Right?
Yeah, and overall, actually, the results overall from Gen 1 to from Gen 8 in regards to retention is at 64%. So it's a metric that has been sustained along the way. And when we look at Gen 1 through Gen 8 in our P18 program, the revenues have gone over 189 million globally, and Puerto Rico revenues have surpassed $60 million. And we've seen through our data that it has dramatically increased in this past year. So we're very excited, very proud of these numbers, and very eager to hear from the rest of our team regarding what they've done here at Para 18.
Wow, Eduardo, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, that the Puerto Rican companies or Puerto Rican revenue is a third of the total amount is just very, very interesting. So let's talk about investment, because I think there's more results that we can talk about. Lucas, we will be talking further on the panel, but if you can just sneak in and talk a little bit about the investments and the results that we have had. Welcome, Lucas, by the way.
We have to say this, Lucas, you're muted.
There we go. Thank you, Sebastian. We're very proud that every metric related to investment continues to grow, as well as for the program. So being very happy to be working with you and with the team for the last 5 years to make that grow. For a bit of context before I give the numbers, remember that 5 years ago, before Para 18 started, startup and investment activity in Puerto Rico was very limited. So we had a very active role in making this happen and growing this through the P18 Ventures program that has existed from the beginning, but that is my main focus for the last few months and into the future. So we see that investment activity is very important for the ecosystem. We're proud to say that today, the total accumulated investment raised by the companies through all generations is almost $127 million. And from that, when you look at the accumulated investment raised in Puerto Rico by local and international companies throughout all generations, it's almost at $20 million. So definitely the activity for investment overall and locally has continued to increase. From that, Puerto Rican investors are really active. They've made over $16 million in investment into local and international companies. And these companies, because of this support, have continued to increase in value. So the total valuation of the Para 18 portfolio through all generations is now over $571 million, and about 3% of that is the value of the Puerto Rican companies. So what we're seeing in general is that more companies continue to grow and raise investment from more investors, bigger amounts. So even with the limited investment activity caused by COVID-19, it's very promising that these numbers continue to grow, and we expect big things next year. We do have to keep in mind that these are based mainly on the impact report survey responses, which have less responses than last year. So, we do have these preliminary numbers that we expect to actually be even higher if we take into account the real numbers for all the companies that have gone through the program.
Lucas, okay, so the numbers are going to keep growing then?
Absolutely, they're going to keep growing. We do expect in 2021 many companies to continue going through the process of raising bigger rounds of investment. We expect the capital markets to recover and more investment capital to be available for companies. So it's a promising time once we get past COVID-19.
Yeah, no, and I totally see the results. And just for the ones that are listening, from the very beginning, Lucas was leading what we call the P18 Ventures, which is a matching fund. Like, we invest in companies only if that company can raise from local investor or international investor. That has triggered a new investment ecosystem in Puerto Rico that we see now in numbers that we're reaching even more than $16 million that are putting in this company. We have a lot of ground to cover yet. We still need more people putting money into these companies, and we still need more exits, but we're definitely going in the right path. So thank you, Lucas, for sharing that. And now we're going to talk with transition, right? So the one that is receiving all this value from investment, from support, and is also one of our rock stars in Parallel 18, and I'm very honored to introduce Marisol Villalobos, founder of Amasar, which probably some of you have tasted how delicious Amasar is. Welcome, Marisol.
Hello, thank you. Good morning to all, and thank you for that beautiful introduction, all. Sebastian, it's a pleasure for me and Amasar to be here today and give back a little bit of all the amazing experiences we've had with you.
Thank you, Marisol. And about that experience, can you share a little bit? How is that parallel 18 experience, right? And why it was so important for you as a founder?
Definitely, I would say before parallel and after parallel. we were in pre-18, and pre-18 was different in the sense that they were local Boricua companies. So it was very enriching and valuable for us to see that there's so many companies out there doing extraordinary things. But then Parallel 18 was so enriching in another sense because they were companies from abroad, and they bring in all that other creativity. You get to know so many extraordinary people on both ends. So in that sense, they were kind of a little different. You know that the Boricuas put in their spicy. And another thing is that at the end of Parallel 18, it was amazing to see how you guys developed in hand and so quickly changing everything to be online. And so an applaud for you guys in that sense. So we experienced both things, having been presential at first, and then at the end, finishing the program online.
Thank you for sharing that, Marisol. Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, okay. Can I?
Sorry. Yeah, you cannot. Go for it, Marisol.
Many highlights of the program. First, I would say it's definitely important to entrepreneurs in terms of the structure you guys help us build. When you're an entrepreneur, you're working on so many ends. It's so difficult. So definitely Parallel 18 helped us in Amasar develop more our structure. Working with that KPI dashboard is definitely a must. So thank you, Eduardo, Bettina, and Lucas for guiding us in all that process. At first, it's kind of difficult because you struggle, but at the end, it's just great. And also P18 Connect was extraordinary. You get to know so many people in such short time. I think one of the valuable things of Parallel is really that you do so much in such short period of time. And last but not least, Sebastian, I would say that one of the highlights Parallel brings to entrepreneurs like Amasar is that sense of globalization. We can do it. You guys give us confidence in what we're doing, in the products we have. And I think that is one of the most valuable things for entrepreneurs in Puerto Rico.
Thank you, Marisol. And I'm really looking forward to see Amasar in the supermarkets in Chile as well. So hopefully that globalization can happen. So I want to pair this conversation with our business development manager, the person that is behind the efforts of connecting these large corporations with small startups that you just mentioned, P18 Connect. Christina, Parallel 18 has a lot to give, right? Like we pair with mentors, we give funding, we make sure that they are investment ready, but we also have added in the last 2-3 years a component that has been increasing their value to the startups, and now it's a critical component of the program. That's P18 Connect. Tell us a little bit about P18 Connect to the audience that don't know about it, probably, and also tell us about the results. That I love the results.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so proud that after 4 years in the program, I can proclaim that P18 Connect is our full spectrum corporate innovation program, with the main objective, obviously, to help our startups grow on the island, but also to promote that Puerto Rico's biggest industries become more competitive by integrating the latest innovations, the latest technologies. And the program includes basically connecting big companies with relevant startups to promote business deals between them, but also exposing top employees to an entrepreneurship state of mind. So with our different offerings, what we do is we broker that relationship between corporates and startups, and we give our corporate partners the tools to spark innovation into their DNA. So our main offering is our we call it the corporate startup matchmaking, or our P18 Connect meetings. And how it works is basically we identify those B2B startups that are ready to engage with enterprises. We curate them, we help them pitch, we help them practice, and we match them with relevant corporates that are looking for their solutions. Our only requirement is that the decision makers be present, because we want to shorten those sales cycles, and we want to make sure that a decision can be made on the spot. And then we also follow up. We interact with them. We help them communicate. Sometimes startups have a language, corporates have another, and we're there to help them kind of translate and help the process along. So sometimes, thank you for sharing that. Sometimes this can take months, it can take years, but we have achieved amazing results throughout the years, year over year, and I'm really proud to say that. And I'm really proud to share that with our Gen 7 and Gen 8 cohorts, which were, as you know, a smaller amount of startups, we were able to surpass last year's P18 Connect meetings. We were able to surpass the unique interactions between a startup and a corporate. We were able to close more deals than last year, and we were even able to close a deal during the pandemic with a Gen 8 startup. So I'm so proud of that. I do have to say that that the deals between Gen 7 and corporates were a little paused because of the pandemic, but that's where I come in to say that I'm really proud that a Gen 8 company was able to close a deal. So Sebastian, I don't know if I have more time, but I would like to obviously highlight a little bit of our efforts during the pandemic and how we were able to manage those relationships with the corporates.
Yeah, no, sure, do that. Christina, before you go into that, like those numbers were Gen 7 and Gen 8, no? Those
yes.
Results, okay, perfect. So during the pandemic, you did more deals than last year.
Yes. I mean, during this year, it was, it was amazing. We were able to help. We were able to help at least 4 startups close deals during the pandemic. And I see some highlighted here, which were some of our alumni brands they were able to close with Triple S, one of the biggest health insurance companies in Puerto Rico. And that was all during the pandemic, and it moved, I would say, in weeks. It was amazing to see. And then they also were able to close with Puma Energy, one of our greatest partners and most active partners. And we did help a Gen 7 startup, Syllabus, close a deal with Evertech to help the children of the employees actually have an activity during the summer to do while they were at home. So it was really, really, really great to see. And I'm so proud of the results that we've been seeing these past months, for sure.
And I just want to mention that this is a great example of how you can eliminate the wrong assumption of, you know, the big corporates or private sector in Puerto Rico doesn't collaborate with the small startups, right? Like it is happening. Yeah. It is happening. How many members do we have, P18 Connect?
We have more than 80 corporate partners right now that are collaborating, almost 90 that are collaborating with our startups constantly. And I think that's a great point. I mean, we have seen, here are some of our corporate partners, and we have seen that during the years, they are maturing with our startup ecosystem, and they're more engaged. They're more willing to work with them, and definitely are clear on what they want and how they want to engage with startups, for sure. And we do have a representation of the top 10 industries. I'm so proud to say that, you know, we have the banks, the pharma industry, which, as you mentioned, is a big one in Puerto Rico, and we're working with most of them, distribution companies, insurance, marketing and advertising. So we do have a good representation, which is obviously really good for the startups, but it's also saying that Puerto Rico's private sector, you know, more established companies are innovating and are integrating technology.
Wow, that was great, Christina. Thank you very much for sharing. And I will, now that we're talking about P18 Connect, I would like to ask also Marisol. Did you have any experience with the PAT Connect? There's something that you want to share about that experience specifically with Cristina and the program, and how was beneficial to Amasat in general?
So yes, definitely. It helped us a lot. And the first thing is that Cristina is very available. It's very easy to walk up to her. Cristina, do you know this person? And if she doesn't, she'll say, don't worry, I'll find out and I'll connect soon. So that's something very important. And definitely it accelerates. As an entrepreneur, it's so difficult to close a deal. All entrepreneurs know how difficult it is. So I think with P18 Connect, it's really a record timing in terms of, we closed with brands of Puerto Rico, we made deals with Valid Seller, and that brought us up to Amazon. So it's many things that you can do in such a short period of time. So really beneficial.
Yeah,
Super.
thank you, Marisol.
Thank you, Marisol. Thank you, Cristina. That's really good information. And again, you can see all of those details in our impact report on our website, parallel18.com. So look at the numbers, share them if you like, and you'll see how impressive they are. So I said it at the beginning of our conversation that I was going to deep deeper into investment with Lucas. I believe that work has been tremendous and out of this world, actually, in terms of the results that we have had and the connections that we have made. So leading the charge is P18 Ventures, which I mentioned is the matching fund that we have, in which we invest in our startups. Normally the best 10% of our startups, only if they are being able to raise money from local or international investors. But we also have had other efforts that we're leading, and we have a current grant from the EDA to foster the investment ecosystem in Puerto Rico and educate investors so they can keep investing and actually increasing the amount, but also to start modeling our first investment fund in the future. Lucas, what are those learnings that you have had? You put together a program in record time. You deploy like $1 million to all of our alumni. What are those learnings in these challenging times?
Sebastian, we have had many learnings. One important one is that companies need money to grow. And the more capital that we have available in Puerto Rico, the more we can keep this impact and these numbers recovering locally. So therefore, we have taken an active role in promoting the community of investors, educating potential investors, and also actively investing in companies through both of the funds we have established. So today it's very important that more of this happens, and the Puerto Rico Science Trust and Parallel 18, see investments as an important area of growth, into the future. Definitely for us, we are very proud of the progress we've had in the last year. Just to give some examples in terms of what we have done, we're very proud that back in January of 2020, which seems a long time ago, we did our first annual P18 Ventures Summit and Puerto Rico Investor Roadshow. So the idea was to bring together select investors from the US and Latin America and have them learn more about the Puerto Rico ecosystem to create connections for investments. And at the same time, we had our portfolio companies, which at the time were 21, come together in a symposium to give them more mentoring in the areas that they need to know to grow further and to raise more investment. So we're very proud that we continue to build the community of investors. Today, we have more than 600 contacts between foreign investors and local potential investors that we engage constantly and share deals for investment. And we have had an intense focus in also educating our startups, doing office hours, helping them with their fundraising strategy, because it's a new knowledge that they need to have in order to make the most out of these opportunities. Additionally, the investment team continues to evolve. So P18 Ventures is no longer a sub-program of Parallel 18. It's evolving to work side by side with Parallel 18 to really do more for the investment community. So we're proud to also mention that our team is growing. We hired Hector Girao as our investment fund manager with the idea that we can continue building important infrastructure for the program. And we keep working hand in hand with the Puerto Rico Science Trust, with the Parallel 18 team, to create more investment opportunities and to keep strengthening the investor ecosystem. So I can go now a bit more into the numbers because I think it's
Yeah,
also
you-
important to mention that, Sebastian.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, go deeper into the numbers just to see. These are last year's, no?
Correct. So these are numbers for last year.
October to September. Okay.
Yeah, I'm proud to say that overall today, the PE Team Ventures initiative has invested $2.6 million as part of 2 different investment funds. Today, we have 58 investments in 48 companies. And we've also done a lot of work in creating investor startup interactions. So we track that because it's really important for us to know how much we can contribute to those connections happening. And we're proud to say that we had 39 investors meet with 79 startups, a total of 295 investment evaluation engagements. And from that, 14 investments were closed from interest facilitated by our team. So it's really working in terms of bringing these two groups together. We continue supporting alumni in raising funds, but I do want to talk about the active role we have taken, because part of it is empowering other investors to invest, but also the trust has been actively deploying funding into the ecosystem additionally. So I do want to highlight our 2 funds that we operate. The first one is the PE Team Ventures Matching Fund. It has been working since the very beginning of the program. As Sebastian said, we pick the top 10% of the companies that go through our cohorts. And today we've had 24 total investments from that fund. 88% of these companies are still operating, a total of $1.6 million. And very importantly, these companies continue to grow. 12 of them have already raised more than $1 million in the life of the company, which means that they're succeeding in getting other investors and continuing to reach other milestones to bring in more capital. We're also very proud that 11 international companies from the portfolio of the matching fund have established operations or commercial ties to Puerto Rico for an 85%. And this last year in 2020, we added 8 companies to our portfolio, including our friends from Amazar, who are doing a great job. I can also talk about our business continuity fund, because I think it's very important to highlight, looking back a couple of months ago, how difficult was the investment activity and the challenges that our companies were facing to continuing to grow. So in parallel fashion, we decided to do something about it. And as Sebastian said, we put a fund together in record time to provide funding to these companies to help them weather the challenges from a decrease in clients or maybe an increase in demand that they needed more money to be able to make the most out of. So we invested $1 million in 39 companies, investments from $25,000 to $35,000. This is to our knowledge, and I think this is really important, the first startup program in the world that launched an investment fund during COVID-19 to provide business continuity to its companies. And we're also very proud to say that these 39 investments that were made in August and September have been the most active period of investment in the history of Parallel 18 and PE Team Ventures and Puerto Rico. So really, we have scaled our ability to invest at scale and to support our companies through investment. And beyond that, it's also the kind of investments that we're making. We're investing in companies that are growing. We're investing in diverse founders. Over 30% of these companies are led by females. Additionally, we added to our portfolio companies that are from the LGBTQ community, as well as people of color. So we are very committed to continue bringing funding and opportunities to all companies that can use Puerto Rico as a platform to continue to grow.
Thank you, Lucas. And to that note, Pre-18 actually has almost 50% of its founders are female founders, so it's also great. I think to summarize what you just said, Lucas, is I think there's 2 great things. One is that there is investment available that are investing in local companies. And the second is that those investments are performing, right? So I don't know if you mentioned, but I think we did an analysis of the return of investment that we have had in paper, right? If we translate that into equity, and I think it's over 2 times or
Yep. So over 2 times. The message here is to investors that are currently investing or that might be interested in investing in parallel 18 companies. You can find good opportunities, great teams, companies that are continuing to grow. And local investors are recognizing that, international investors are recognizing that. So definitely if you want to get involved or know more, they can reach out to me.
Thank you, Lucas, for that great work. And Marisol, I think you also have something to say about this. You receive investment support, you receive investment from Parallel 18. Tell us about how does that engagement with Lucas specifically and the PhD inventors and the Business Continuity Fund, where and how was that experience?
Yes, definitely. Hey, raising capital is an adventure. It's complicated, and during COVID-19, even more, you can imagine. So Lucas, he was just a key player in helping Amasad raise our investment. We couldn't have done it without the guidance of Lucas and of Devin Baptist, I have to say, a mentor in residence. But how did they help us? They help us revise those numbers, check out those projections one time after another, be sure of what we were going to present, revise that slide deck so many times. How many times, Lucas, did we revise that slide deck? A bunch. And pitch practicing to investors. That's another art of pitching. So it was just the whole thing altogether. And then raising capital was a new thing for us in Amasad. It's not the same things of having bonds here or there. It's another different, I would say, art of study. So in such a short time, again, we were able to do so many things. So guys, Devin, Lucas, now Hector, you guys rock. And what you're doing in Puerto Rico and in this ecosystem is just extraordinary. And I'm sure we will begin to see the fruits of all this soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Marisol. I think those are great words. Eduardo is clapping there.
I'm way too excited. Sorry.
I remember watching you in the meeting room with Lucas for like 2 or 3 hours, just learning and designing all your investment strategy. So congratulations about that. You mentioned Devin Baptiste. I have to say, just small parenthesis of who is Devin Baptiste and why did you mention? He helped us as an entrepreneur in residence in Parallel 18 and Pre-18. And he was a very involved mentor, I would say. And to summarize what he did is like he's basically changing the growth trajectory of companies. Like he's sitting down with companies and helping them grow, but also helping them raise capital. So Devin, if you're listening in some part of the world, thank you for your support. Marisol, don't go yet. I would love to just to recap. We're getting into the end of the panel, so I would love for you, the only startup in the panel, another startup founder, to recap on the benefits that you have received and the experience that you have had to Parallel 18.
But Sebastian, that was a difficult question because there's so many things that you guys taught us to go to the point. So let me.
We have time. No.
Okay.
No.
First of all, Parallel 18 is a program that will guide entrepreneurs. So if you're an entrepreneur, please check out Parallel because it will really help you step by step, guide you all the way through different aspects of the business. So I think that's very important. It's a program where you have that follow-up structure. We talked about the KPI dashboard and all that. But then you have those mentorships that are strategic. You get to know so many people. You get to connect with so many people that will help you definitely. And there's the magic also of being able to benchmark with other entrepreneurs like yourself. I think that's magical. We got very close bondings with Edvier, with Pri, so the Live Green Co. and My Healthy Woe. So I think it's people like you that are going through the same difficulties and things. So I think that's very important because we still do benchmarking, the three of us. So that has continued. Also having access to that amazing network of entrepreneurs, of mentors again, and to the Parallel 18 team, where you have expertise in so many different areas. marketing, investment. You knock on the door, Luke, Sebastian, do you have 15 minutes? And he would walk up with you and he's hear you for 15 minutes. So it's really, and then they're present for you. And I think that's very important, all of them. And that's very valuable as well. In terms of the curriculum, I'm an educator, so I was really impressed of how you were able to manage in such strategic mentorships and sessions, such important information, and get to the point so quickly, right? That's not easy to do. And it definitely that great advantage for investment. I think that's something that will make Puerto Rico grow to a next level. That is a theme that is very new, I would say, to more than 90% of entrepreneurs. And sometimes you think you're not going to be able to do that. So the confidence you get back from Parallel 18 and what you're doing in your products, in your process, I think that's very important as well in terms of helping grow the economical system in here in Puerto Rico and abroad as well. So I gained a lot of knowledge. Thank you so much. And Jesus, my husband, and Stefan, the other partner as well. And we encourage startups, Sebastian, to enroll, to at least fill out your applications. I know the competition is difficult, but here in Puerto Rico, this creativity is growing so much, and abroad as well. So go for it.
Hey, Marisol, thank you very much for those words. You definitely represent what we want to, the entrepreneurs that we want to work with. So congratulations, and we're super honored. And Marisol, where we can find, this is your 30 seconds, where we can find Amasar, please share.
Thank you. Well, right now we have a very special promotion going on. It's called the Aguinaldo Box. So we established a strategic partnership with Cabo Rojo Steaks. So our products will be available to ship to all those Puerto Ricans that have not been able to come to the island because of everything that's happened. So if you want to give them a little bit of the taste of our land, of our hands, of agricultures, and farmers in Puerto Rico, you can go for that. But we're also available in all the Econos, in Fresh Mart, in Walmart, on our webpage as well. So there are many options, Selectos, Mr. Special, many health foods. So check those out. They're delicious, as Sebastian said, and gluten-free, non-GMO, and made out of the superfood of breadfruit.
Thank you, Marisol. Try that superfood from a super entrepreneur. So thank you again for your time.
Saturday, we're going to be in Santurce, Sebastian. So you're also more than welcome to go there in World Center Kitchen. Yeah. We're going to be there too. So
super, with more quality entrepreneurs. Always, I see there. Thank you, Marisol, for your time.
Thank you.
So thank you, Marisol. We are going to be going to finish this conversation. And I would like for each of our panelists to give us a key takeaway. I know it's hard for the last 5 years, but also I would like to think about the challenges that we have and we are gonna be facing, you think, for the future. So takeaways and challenges. Let's start with Lucy. Lucy, welcome back.
Thank you, Seba. Thank you to all the panelists. It's so exciting. You know, I'm smiling all the time because I'm so happy with the results that we are achieving. But, you know, we have tremendous opportunities, and I would like to focus my comments on that. First of all, you know, at this point in time, we are looking for synergies in the trust. That is one of the roles that Sebastian had. So we are looking into more synergies between Colmena, Parallel, and another area that we have for small business, which is the small business business resilience innovation that is led by Ani Mustafa. And, you know, that is one of the areas that we definitely want to be sure that the companies move, that they start up, that they continue growing, and that they become very resilient to do business in Puerto Rico. So that is one area that we want to work. As Lucas mentioned, we are increasing the financial capabilities that we have because we want to, for the trust in particular, to be a resource in all different areas. We will have a new investment funds. We are considering becoming a certified financial institution, and eventually be able to also provide loans as a step for this company to grow while they are ready for the commercial banking organizations. We are putting new workforce development strategies, especially in that skill set that we know is so valuable, so important, in programming, coding, Python, geographic information system, data science. We want to be sure that we put a very strong workforce development program to ensure that all the capacity, all the resources, the human talent that is needed by our company is there for them to grow. The other area that we really are looking into is we have our physical facilities. The Trust have presence now in San Juan and in Ponce. We are expanding into Mayagüez in the next couple of years. And more than that, we are providing new capabilities. We are constructing a new state-of-the-art building in the Science City in San Juan, in which we hope to host a significant number of companies that become from the Parallel 18 program. So they have a facility that really can support them, to moving into the next step of growth that they may need. And, we will continue the challenges of innovation, which is the first one that we have is a challenge to innovate. And NASA edition, we just acquired several licenses from NASA for companies, especially, and this is really targeted to our university startups, okay? So they can start creating companies based on what they know best, which is technology and science, and create an exciting future for them. And the other area that I'm so excited about is continued collaboration with our partners. Well, we have to recognize that we have expanded the ecosystem tremendously, but really we need, not 80 or 100 companies per year. We really need like 500 companies per year. So my hope is that with collaboration with partners such as Engine 4 for the Internet of Things, incremental partnership. And now, one of the things that Sebastian is really working on that I love is using this Parallel 18 model for partners with several other organizations that want to do accelerators or that want to do incubators. And what I hope is that we can continue fine-tuning this program, as Marisol mentioned, as an educator, there is that outreach and education really structure. And, we want everyone to use that resources and, take Puerto Rico to the next level. And, I always mention for this, my dream is that, probably in the next 5 years, we may not get to 500 new companies per year, but, we may get like to 450. And that is a great goal.
Thank you, Lucy. Eduardo, you already know that that's our next goal, 500 companies a year. So I would recommend to start working now. But I think it's an amazing goal. We have been discussed that number with Lucy, and at the end, the startup world, it's a numbers game. It's a very risky business, and we need to aim for higher numbers all the time. So 500, I think, is feasible. Again, understanding all the wrong assumptions that it can be done or whatever, like we can do it. So thank you, Lucy, for that, those final words. Eduardo, your takeaways and your challenges.
Well, let me tell you that I knew these numbers coming into this panel, and I'm even more excited because we're saying it out loud to the world and to our partners and to our startups. So I'm very excited for what's to come and for what we've done in the past 5 years. Look, it shows that Puerto Rico, before Parallel, and we were still early in the side of building our entrepreneur ecosystem. And now we have an identity. We have the structures, we have the roadmap to take a company from either, that coming from the university or an entrepreneur that just came out of their job and wants to go out and grow. We have the resources there, and it demonstrates the maturity and the movement of where our ecosystem and where Para18 is moving. You've seen through Lucas' numbers with investments that there is capital in Puerto Rico. There is capital and confidence in our startups because the program is helping to de-risk a lot of the things and components of the startups. We're seeing our corporate partners that are involving with us, and that we have a better understanding of them, and we have better understanding of the startups. And we are so excited and thankful for that they are contributing and seeing these numbers. It's very exciting. And for our mentors, we're seeing a higher quality of mentors from all around the world. And also because we're training our mentors to be even better along the way. And with that in mind, we are agnostic in solution and industry. So we want to have those answers before the questions come in. So if you are someone that wants to get involved with our community, contact us at kobe@para18.com so we can better have you part of our community. And that way we can have a better understanding of how you can be involved and help our entrepreneurs, corporate partners, and investors.
Thank you, Eduardo. Super exciting challenges that are coming next year in the next few years. Chris, you're up next. Takeaways, challenges.
Thank you, Seba. And yes, I would say that my biggest takeaway these past 4 years has been that the startup ecosystem and the startup landscape is evolving, it's maturing, and so is the corporate private sector. I've seen great synergies happen easier and faster, and I'm so excited about that. What's our biggest challenge and what we want to tackle is we want to get more executives, operators, those that are in charge of the operations of the companies on board this innovation train. We have CEOs that are on board, but we want the people that are actually implementing the solutions to come on board. And what do we want to do? We want to promote our corporate innovation school. I know we haven't talked about it, but we deployed it for the first time before COVID, and then during COVID, it was a great success. And it's basically the evolution of our corporate innovation program to better serve our corporate partners, to have them even more exposed to an entrepreneurship state of mind with design thinking workshops, with founder talks, mentor talks. So we're really wanting to promote that in the coming months. So if you're interested, let me know. And we want to be the go-to place for corporates to get vetted, high impact, innovative startups that can really add value to their business. We want to have even more corporate partners on board. So if you're a corporate partner, if you have a company, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is super easy, Christina@parallel18.com. And we're happy to welcome you and help you connect with our startups.
Thank you, Chris. Super valuable, all the work that you have done connecting startups and also educating a lot of executives here in Puerto Rico for big corps, reaching out to startups, having that knowledge. Lucas, please share with us your takeaways and your challenges about the investment landscape in Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. You know, I think looking back from 5 years ago to today, it's very exciting to see just how much growth there has been in all these areas. I remember 5 years ago talking to Lucy, talking to Sebastian at the Puerto Rico Science Trust when Parallel was still Startup Puerto Rico program that wasn't, you know, that defined. And just to see the amount of entrepreneurs and innovation and investors, but it's just like the stories of people that are having an impact locally. I think that that's very exciting. So I'm really excited for the next 5 years and everything that will happen. Particularly, I'm very excited about the investment aspect. You know, it's the one that I look at more directly because, you know, going back to that number, $20 million of Puerto Rico capital invested in startup companies, you know, it's an unprecedented number for the ecosystem that, you know, we're going to work very hard to continue growing. And I'm happy to say that today we have an interconnected startup ecosystem in which we have the investment side that's thriving as well. We have angel investors, we have venture capital firms, we have corporates that are investing, we have all these different people that are involved in supporting companies to grow. And then we have the Puerto Rico Science Trust as well. And thank you to Lucy's leadership. We're going to have even more happening in the financial aspect as well. So very excited about that. And just my call to the ecosystem is just find a way to get involved, you know, because I think working with a Parallel company and working with a program is just one of the few chances where it's a win-win-win-win for everybody. So not only invest if you can, but just buy local, or just tell others about, what these entrepreneurs are doing. That all really helps. So just, grateful for the chance to work with amazing people, and very excited to be building out more funding and more infrastructure around investment. So stay tuned for more announcements on that.
Thank you, Lucas. Certainly a key piece of the ecosystem is investment to really see it grow elsewhere. So with this, I think we're wrapping up this beautiful panel. It's so good to share with you all of these common factors of how we can see a more innovative, resilient, and entrepreneurial Puerto Rico for the future. I really would like to thank the Puerto Rico Science, Technology, and Research Trust for supporting Parallel 18 and all of the programs that are supporting. And the Trust has done an amazing job in the last 5 years, so you definitely need to check it out. For the ones that are, have own companies or are investors or have valuable resources to share, please share and send us an email to kobe@parallel18.com. Also, if you have an innovative idea or a startup or a company, reach out to us. If you believe that you are not the fit, there's another program called Colmena 66 would help you in other type of resources and programs. So stay tuned, connect, follow Parallel 18 in social networks, and we will definitely help you achieve your goals of creating innovative startups with integration. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the audience that were here. This was the panel about sharing the results of our Year 4 Impact Report. Thank you all the Parallel 18 team. Wanda, you did a terrific job. So congratulations to the marketing team as well.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.